The UK is facing a housing crisis, with national house prices now reported being 8.4 times the average annual salary. With homes more expensive than ever, families are being priced out of their own towns, young people are locked out of home ownership, and with Bloomberg reporting a total of 4 million new homes required in the UK. In this video, we'll take a step back in time to explore how we got here, what's fueling this crisis, and most importantly, what we can do to fix it. Let's rewind. Post-World War II, the UK was building over 400,000 new homes a year, including hundreds of thousands of council houses. This was to help support returning soldiers, expanding families, the growing economy, and rebuild war-damaged cities. The focus was on accessibility and scale, with government initiatives like new towns and large-scale council estates delivering affordable homes at an unprecedented rate. Then, in the 1980s, came Right to Buy, a flagship policy under Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government. It allowed long-term council tenants to purchase their homes at substantial discounts, with the aim of creating a property-owning democracy. The policy proved immensely popular with buyers, and by the early 1990s, over 2 million council homes had been sold across the UK. However, while Right to Buy gave many working-class families the opportunity to own property for the first time, it had devastating long-term impacts on social housing supply. Crucially, the homes that were sold off were never replaced. Local councils didn't reinvest the proceeds into building new housing, and over time the social housing stock collapsed by nearly 70%, falling from around 6.5 million homes in 1980 to just 2 million homes today. The selling off of public housing, partnered with the decline of new build council housing, is a major step in the direction of the problems to come. From the 1980s onward, local authorities virtually ceased building new homes. Between 1946 and 1980, an average of 126,000 council homes were built per year in the UK. By 2020, annual council house builds numbered in the low thousands. The burden of new supply shifted almost entirely to private developers and housing associations, who have not matched the previous scale of public sector construction since. As a result, overall house building never regained its 1960s peak. By 2010, the UK was building roughly half the number of homes per year it did in the 1960s, despite a larger population. At the same time, the 1980s saw the Lawson boom, a period of aggressive financial deregulation, tax cuts, and cheap credit. House prices surged, especially in the southeast, with some areas experiencing annual rises of 25% or more. Home ownership expanded rapidly, but so did inequality. While many homeowners saw their wealth soar, younger and lower income households were increasingly priced out. This led to the rise of the private rental sector we know today, in response to the dwindling social housing supply. Enter in the noughties. In the early 2000s, the UK entered another major housing boom, fueled by steady economic growth, low interest rates, and widespread availability of cheap mortgage credit. House prices again began to soar. The average UK home more than doubled in value between 2000 and 2007, far outpacing any wage growth. Home ownership was also increasingly seen as not just a necessity, but a profitable investment, driving demand from both individual buyers and an emerging wave of buy-to-let landlords. This period also saw a significant expansion of the financial services sector, which encouraged borrowing and speculative investing in property. However, despite the surge in demand, house building remained sluggish, especially in the affordable segment. As prices climbed, fewer people could afford to buy, but many were still drawn in by easy credit and interest-only mortgages. The market started to become dangerously over-leveraged. Then came the 2008 global financial crisis. When the credit bubble burst, the UK housing market crashed. House prices plummeted, mortgage lending dried up, and construction activity collapsed to its lowest level since the 1930s, with many development sites being mothballed indefinitely. The result was not only a sharp economic downturn, but a further deepening of the housing shortage. The homes that weren't built during those years created a backlog of unmet demand that we're still grappling with today. This video is sponsored by the channel sponsor Landstack. Landstack is an online mapping tool software that gives you all the information you need when it comes to property development. Be it you want to understand what constraints are in your area, or you want to find out what planning applications have been approved or refused within your local area, or you want to try and find new build opportunities for yourself, you can get started today for free at landstack.co.uk. Furthermore, When the 2008 financial crisis hit, many over-leveraged developers went under. The few that survived didn't just hang on, they capitalized. Today, the top 10 largest house builders deliver nearly half of all new homes in the UK, completing 49% of the 184,000 homes built last year. That means the government, while in charge of housing policy, is now heavily dependent on just a handful of private firms to actually deliver. In reality, the government can spout 300,000 new homes a year housing targets, but they've lost complete control when it comes to real-world deliverability. The crisis also marked a shift in the housing landscape. First-time buyers retreated from the market, and the private rental sector expanded rapidly to fill the gap. Meanwhile, austerity measures introduced by the government in the aftermath of the crash slashed funding for new social housing, making it even harder for low and middle income families to find secure, affordable homes. Now in this video, we've taken a look at the history of the UK housing market and the decisions that have been made in the past which has led us here. Now in the next video, we're going to be looking at the current environment and the decisions that are being made today which are impacting us in the present. So if you found this breakdown insightful, please like and subscribe. And if there's any future topics that you'd like me to cover, please leave a comment down below.